Hello. Is it possible to find secrets of overcoming depression in Russian literature? I believe it is, and I'm going to explain exactly why today. Now, the play I'm going to be talking about is The Lower Depths by Maxim Gorky. Russian playwright, early 1900s. He was in Russia during the dark time in history in Russia, a very difficult time on the people, and it went from bad to worse as the communists eventually took over and began their purges. So Gorky creates a collection of characters in The Lower Depths. And this to survive, particularly for the women, but really for the men too. I mean, it's a vicious, dark, evil group of people that are all just literally they're locked into darkness, and they're locked into depression and evil, and they're all toxic. They're all toxic to each other, and as a result, it's very hard to get out of these ruts that they're in, and there's a lot of depression. It's hard. It's almost like a spirit of depression hangs over this group of people, and it's a powerful sort of curse that lays over them. And for one example of this is Alyoshka, the character Alyoshka. He says this at one point he says, "I want nothing. Why am I worse than other people?" Now listen to that. I want nothing. Why am I worse than other people? Anyone who's ever been through depression, as I have in the past, if you begin thinking that way, why am I such a terrible person? Why does these things always happen to me? And as Alyoshka says, why am I worse than other people? I'm not only bad, but I'm worse than other people. And he's asking a question, why am I worse than other people? Well, what can you do but answer the question? Well, I'm worse in his own mind. Gorky doesn't actually answer the question. But anyone who's depressed and asking a question like that, well, their mind obviously is going to start answering the question, giving him all kinds of reasons why he's worse than other people. So there's like a sea of gloom beneath the surface, a subtext that hangs beneath the surface of these lines, and it's darker than dark. So Alyoshka, another character that's seriously depressed to the point of death, is Anna. Poor Anna. She's on her deathbed, and she says, "Harsh words, that's all I've ever known in my life." Can you imagine that? She's on her deathbed, reflecting on her life, and she says, "Harsh words, it's all I've ever known in my life." What despair! What a pitiful creature! This poor girl has been around these terrible people that she's surrounded with. These kind of people her whole life. She's never known joy. She's never known happiness. She's just been abused her entire life. It's the saddest thing. And she even says beatings. She starts off by saying beatings, harsh words. That's all I've ever known. So not only just the harsh words, but also beatings. She's been, and whatever's killing her, she's got no desire to live. You have to have, you got to want to fight to live in order to overcome the disease or whatever it is in order to fight it. But no, she doesn't care. What's there to live for? More beatings and more harsh words. So she really doesn't have the desire to fight. And that's what she's focusing on. And that can only make her situation worse when she focuses and reflects on all the beatings and harsh things that have ever been said to her. How is that going to make her feel? Is that going to give her more energy to fight off her sickness? No, it's gonna kill her, and she doesn't last long in the play either. Then there's actor. That's how he's referred to. He was an actor, but he says, "I've drunk up my soul, old man." He's talking to Luca, who I'll talk about in a minute. Luca's the one person who people talk to because he's the only character among them who he's a wayfaring stranger, a wanderer. So he wanders into this group of gloomy people, and he's a man of light and hope and joy. And so people tell him their soul, their pains, and he says, "Oh, I've drunk up my soul, old man. I'm lost. And why am I lost? Because I had no faith in myself. I'm finished." Now listen to Listen to him as he puts a curse on his own life with his words in his self-affirmations of death and gloom. He says, I've drunk up my life, old man. I've drunk up my soul. I'm lost. These are affirmations. I'm lost. I'm finished. I never believed in myself. I'm lost. I'm finished. I've never believed in myself. Imagine those as affirmations. And that's how this guy thinks, and that's how he talks. And it's taking him down a very, very, very dark and destructive road. So that's the actor, and those are just 3 examples. There's others. We could look at Papel, who is a thief, and he says, I must live a better life in such a way that I can respect myself. So he's not only a thief, he has no self-respect. He has no self-respect, and he's depressed, obviously. And then there's Nastya, this poor woman who was considered a woman of the streets, and she says, why do I go on living with you here? I'm going away anywhere to the world's end. Now Nastya's a little different from the others. The others are sort of finished. They're like, it's over, right? They have no hope. But this Nastya says she's got just a glimmer of hope. She says, I'm going away anywhere to the world's end. And she picked up that she got this idea from Luca, who I'm about to talk about. But notice the difference. Nastya has at least a spark of hope because she has a plan. She's going to go away anywhere at the end of the world. And so that's Nastya. Now, the thing about Nastya, she said, and I did have real love. Tomorrow, maybe someone will come. Maybe something will happen. That's what keeps her going. And listen to her, the tone of her language, how different it is from the others. I did have real love, unlike Anna, who sadly never did. And then she says, tomorrow, maybe someone will come. Maybe something will happen. So she's got hope for tomorrow. And that gives her energy. It makes her invincible. That she's got this invincible power because she is fighting a pack of wolves who are trying to tear her down. And they can't do it. And it's because she's got this hope for tomorrow and this hope that maybe something could happen. Maybe the wheel could turn her way. Now, Luca is different from the others, as I mentioned, and he has some advice that can help can help deal with depression. For example, he's talking to Papel, and he overrates Papel. He doesn't realize just how he's a newcomer. He doesn't realize quite the depth to which Papel is caught up in evil. And Luca tells him, "You're right, my boy. May the Lord Jesus Christ help you. You're right. A man must respect himself." So he's giving him some advice here that the Lord Jesus Christ can help you. And it's right that he gives that advice, but there's no chance that Papel is ready for this advice because he's tied up in a whole web of darkness that Luca doesn't know about. But is this advice something out of the 1300s that's no longer relevant? Well, I can tell you that this advice has been invaluable. As I mentioned, I have in the past dealt with depression. This advice is absolutely 100% invaluable for a person who's depressed because you can replace that depression with a spirit of love. Get rid of the spirit of fear and gloom and replace it with a spirit of love and hope and joy and no longer speaking words of gloom over our lives, but speaking words of hope and joy. It makes all the difference of the world. And then Nastya says, I'm going away anywhere to the world's end. So she's got that little spark of hope. And then now Luca says, one person who was now Nastya said, she told a story. She told this story about how she once knew love, but she sacrificed herself for the happiness of the boy and gave up her own chance at happiness so that he could go on and have happiness. And she was just reflecting on this one spark of joy in her life, and the others just were like wolves. They called her a liar and a make-believe, and she's never known real love and were as cruel as they could possibly be. The one thing that gave her hope, they tried to just squash her, and but she wouldn't stand up for it. She fought like a wolf against these scoundrels. And now Baron gets this idea that he should go and make up with her after he tried to be as mean as possible. And so Luke was like, just leave her alone. Let her cry. She gets joy from crying. But no, he wants to do it. So Lucas says, all right, look, at least just be gentle with her. Christ felt sorry for everyone and bid us do the same. So he's giving some good advice here. Be gentle. Be gentle. This is good advice for life. Be gentle with her. Christ felt sorry for everyone, and we should be the same. We should do the same. Great advice. And not only that, when we're gentle with other people and have compassion for others, we're more likely to have compassion for ourselves also. And Luca says to Natasha, Luca gives some bad advice here because he doesn't realize just what of a scoundrel Papel is. But he sees the good in everybody, and he sees the good in Papel. He doesn't realize just how deep Papel is tied up in darkness. And he says to Natasha, marry him, he's a good fellow. Only you have to remind him as often as you can that he's a good fellow, so that he doesn't forget it. You have to keep reminding him. He'll believe you. Just keep telling him, you're a good man, Vasya. Remember that. You're a good man. You're a good man. Remember that, Vasya. So he's given some great advice here about how to treat other people. Just keep giving them positive. Keep telling them they're the best. Telling them they're good. You're a good man. Remember that. You're good. You're good. You're good. Those kind of words give us power. They give us hope. They give us just what we need in order to get through the day, in order to overcome obstacles. And it's just so sad that it didn't turn out that way, because Luca never did marry. I'm sorry, Papel never married her, because things were about to go off the rails for Papel. But it's great advice that Luca gives. He's the wayfaring stranger. So there you go. There's some examples of depression in the lower depths by Maxim Gorky as he gives us a window into the Soviet, pre-Soviet and Soviet times of utter hopelessness in Russia, and how people dealt with depression or failed to deal with it, and how they could have dealt with it, and maybe did or didn't. Maybe they didn't, depending on which characters there were. But it's a great story. It's worth reading. There's a lot of gems in this masterpiece by Maxim Gorky. Thanks for watching.